Challenging. Motivation, creativity.
Fun.
I'll say undescribable.
Weird. Easy. I didn't do shit.
I'm gonna say groovy.
It's amazing. That's all I'll say. It's amazing.
RPM Challenge is a way to write, record an album, 35 minutes worth of material in 1 month recital, and it's difficult, but at the end you're really proud of your project, no matter how it goes.
We started the RPM Challenge. The actual idea was from a musician friend of ours, John Nolan, who at the time was the music editor of The Wire. As part of the idea of this whole thing was to try to help build the music community that much stronger. Here was just in the area where The Wire comes out. So, yeah, we had an unbelievable result, actually. The second year we went international, and we got unbelievable response and a real decent return on it, too. Most every year we've gotten 500 to 800 releases in. Another part of this thing was just to shake up yourself. Say, okay, can I sit and produce a CD of new material and try something totally different? You know, like we've had guys do heavy metal things that aren't. We've had guys who normally work bands who sing a songwriter thing. But it's just the idea of trying to get people to think about their art a little differently.
Yo, we
Oh.
good. Feel good. For me and the bass player here, our second time doing the RPM challenge. We did one last year, but our first time.
The thing about the RPM challenge was it sort of forced us to write and record all these songs in 1 month. And you know, the product that we came out with at the end of the month was good, not great. But the thing that really the RPM challenge sort of like pushed us to actually sit down and, you know, write and record new songs.
I mean, literally, we would get together at 6 o'clock. I'd get here at 6 o'clock or so, set up for an hour. They'd get here and start setting up, and we would go until 1 o'clock in the morning. We're doing 8-hour sessions of sitting in the room and just going at it and going at it.
It was never like hanging over our heads. It was never like, we need to get this done. RPM, RPM, RPM. Time's up. Oh, thank God we're done. It was more so like, you know, we were having fun playing music.
The night before we submitted it, me and myself and this kid and the drummer literally stayed up until like, we stayed up the whole entire night, just mixing it down, doing dub effects, trying to
literally the whole time, besides from taking like a break to like go outside and let my mind like not fizzle. I sat and stared at the computer screen mixing and everything.
It was a long night. It was definitely that night when I realized that this was way more than the RPM challenge. The RPM challenge got started. This is like our album. We're
actually the best learning experience that I've ever had to do, because it's made me record an album. So it's really fun and a great.
Yeah, you're not gonna win anything if you make a great RPM challenge, but you win in the end by having more recorded music than you've done yourself.
So you come to me for the rules of revolution.
This is my second year doing the RPM challenge. I used it this year as the base of my next album. It takes up the rest of my time in February. Like it's just like pretty, it's like almost all of my time. So if I'm not at school or hanging out with my daughter, I'm like working on something. I'm either driving around listening in my car to what I've already recorded, or I'm like recording something, or I'm mixing it together. Like that's like what February looks like.
I grabbed my past and boxed it up, set it down for my
It gives you a way of, you know, not working on something forever. So it just gives it like a, here's your ending. You have this amount of time to finish it, do whatever you can. And then the camaraderie of knowing that other people are psychotically busy with music at the same time as you. So it's not like, oh, I set out to do this project and no one else is feeling the same pain that I am in terms of like losing sleep. It's just like you know that everyone is doing the same thing at the same time. It's cool. And I'm like gotten connected with other musicians who I later played music with. So it was like for the purpose of connecting through RPM originally, and it turned into like, you know, connections that were longer lasting. So it's super motivation to be creative and try new things, and it's like a space to experiment. And it's like an open mic for recorded music. Does that make sense?
I can cry and I can pout, just wish my tiny voice could shout, break myself open, let it go. I know I've smiled just for show. I have some brains but mostly heart. What I feel ain't always smart. Somehow I never broke a bone, tearing down a house, trying to build a home.